nursing in Adelaide, at the University of Adelaide. It's my great privilege to hold that position, and that's because I work with an absolutely wonderful team of people. We're actually a relatively new school in the University of Adelaide. We've been around for 15 or 16 years. And today I have a team who is going to tell you a bit about coming to study at the University of Adelaide as an undergraduate student. So that's getting a bachelor's degree in nursing. It's absolutely the best and the most brilliant place to study, so well done for deciding to come and listen a bit more. So I'm going to do three things before I introduce you to Frank and Hannah. The first thing is why nursing? Why would you want to choose to be a nurse? The second thing I'm going to talk a bit about is why would you choose to do nursing at the University of Adelaide? And then the third thing I'm going to talk about is what does the future hold in the next 3 years? If you come and study with us, what would you be experiencing? So first of all, why would you choose nursing? Well, I actually think nursing is one of the best kept secrets in the world. What other profession would give you a ticket to travel the world, would give you access to the intimate experiences and challenges of people's lives, would give you the possibility of every day that you work being different, discovering the joy of looking after kids, the joy of looking after older people, the challenge of working with people who have depression or feeling stressed in their lives, the challenge of working in an intensive care unit. These are all the things that are absolutely at your fingertips if you choose to be a nurse. If you choose to be a nurse at the University of Adelaide, these are the sorts of things that you experience. Instead of being one person in a group of 800 first-year students or 500 first-year students or 300 first-year students, you are in a class of a cohort of about 150 students. That means that we, as the staff in the University of Adelaide, get to know you close up and personal, so there's no running away from us. We work with you because we believe that you, as a professional nurse, being able to deliver patient-centered care, relationship-centered care, you have to experience that yourself as someone who is going from possibly a school experience, possibly a first job experience, and you are just going to see stuff that you never thought existed. So you need people to help you sort it out, think about it, reflect on it, and be able to be there positive for the patient. The other thing that the University of Adelaide is committed to is what we're calling small group discovery learning. That means that from the very first year, from next year when you come as a student, you will be in a small cohort of maybe 8 to 10 in a class, and you actually get to talk about stuff. You're given a problem, a situation, and perhaps, as they call it, wicked problems. How do you ensure that people who have dementia, who have fallen or in an accident and emergency situation have a dignified experience? What would you do? How do you do it? What sort of skills does it take? Those are the sorts of wicked problems that we in nursing have to focus and sort out. And these are the things that through the small group discovery experience we will be working not just with nursing students but with medical students, health science students, psychology students and dental students. And if you hadn't heard, let this be the first place to hear it, that there's a new hospital being built. The new RA is going to be opened in 2016, but beside the new Royal Adelaide Hospital, there's also going to be a new integrated clinical school. Nursing, dentistry and medicine are going to come together in this new school where we are going to be working together with our students, promoting the small group discovery, promoting integrated research, promoting the best clinical practice that we can offer. So if you want to be part of this wonderful vision, then by next year we're starting to change the way we work together in order for us to be ready in 2016 to actually get into that space. So hopefully you'll all be thinking, yeah, I really want to get into University of Adelaide. I'm going to ask Frank now to tell you how you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Alison. That's fantastic. My role is the program coordinator for the Bachelor of Nursing, and I apologise I have to stand behind the lectern, but I need to press these buttons. All right, so first up, what I would encourage everybody, if they've got any questions at the end of this talk, to please come down to the marquee and we'll repeat that invitation towards the end. But there is a bit of detail that we need to just get through. University of Adelaide School of Nursing offers two programs that lead people to being ready to register with the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia. First is if you like, perhaps the typical, which is the 3-year undergraduate program. And most often the population for that program are school leavers, but of course we take enrolled nurses, we take people who might come from tertiary transfers from health sciences. It's a fairly popular move. If we have anybody here that is interested in nursing as a career and they already have a previous degree qualification, then the Master of Clinical Nursing program is an opportunity for yourselves. So that the Master of Clinical Nursing program is quite new, and again I would encourage people to come down and perhaps seek us out for a little bit of independent information about what that will look like. Mainly today I'm going to focus on the Bachelor of Nursing program. Big questions are always around ATAR and the entry criteria. Again, just to put some rumours to bed, some years ago, yes, we did have an interview to get into the program. We no longer have an interview, so there is no interview to get into the Bachelor of Nursing at the University of Adelaide. And that means that you are competing as a school leaver, particularly on your ATAR. Now, our ATAR has floated, and what that means is that if we're looking for 150 students and we have 150 ATARs, then we'll take the top 150. All right? So to give you an example of where that you might be in that, last year we went down to 76 was the lowest ATAR that we went down to in terms of a cut-off. Now, having said that, one of the important things we need to get across is that it is a floating number. And if we have not so many people with high ATARs applying, then obviously there's an opportunity for people who might be in the 70 to 75 bracket to gain a spot into the program. SACE is, of course, the thing that often contributes towards an ATAR, but we also invite and welcome people who might come in as a mature age student and who will have sat the STAT test. And again, STAT test scores tend to be a little bit of a moving feast, and one score from one year to the next is not the same. All right? And so we have to go by our admissions criteria and look to see just where the equivalence is for that year's results. I have to say that the people who have come from a mature age background into the program generally have had a good opportunity to think about what it is that they want to gain from a nursing career, and so we welcome them with open arms into the course. We do have pathway for enrolled nurses, and I'm sure there's probably some enrolled nurses here in the audience. With the first full year of the undergraduate program is given its credit as a result of your enrolled nurse courses, and again we welcome enrolled nurses to apply. We have an Indigenous pathway for students from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander background, so if that is something that you might like to talk about, again please come down and see us. What I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to emphasise is that there are a number of pathways into the Bachelor of Nursing. So ATAR is one of the most common, but certainly by no means the least. We don't have any specific prerequisites. However, we do encourage people, if you're in year 11, 12 and you're thinking about what courses you might have done or should have done, biology very much, maths is useful, and English is also very useful as you go forward. Having said that, we have people who've come with none of those prerequisites, or none of those recommended courses rather, and they succeed, all right, and they get through. Comment Alison made was about the fact that we only take 150 students. One of the things we need to emphasise, particularly at forums like this, is that we can't offer, in the first round of offers that go out from SATAC, we can't make all of the offers at that point in time. So what we do is we stagger our offers towards the program. So if you're not made an offer in the first round, by no means does it mean that you have missed out. And every year, and I'm stressing this because every year I get phone calls and follow-up emails from people who are despairing because they took their other preference and didn't anticipate getting an offer from the University of Adelaide in the second or even the third round of SATAC rounds. All right? As a small program, that's one of the consequences that we work to. Okay, your experience. And experience is really important because, again, the focus is on you. You can't escape. You're one of 150 type people. And so the nice thing is that we will get to know you over the period of time that you're with us. Some people thinking, great. Some people thinking, no, that means I can't hide. Right? But at the end of the day, you don't want to be just a number. You want to be part of a program, and you want to feel like you belong to someone. You will belong to us and this course. So you won't get lost as a number. Okay, we're going to have a nice slide, right, with nice pictures and all the glamour. But obviously, leading up to that point, this is a photo from the graduation last year at the Wine Centre. Leading up to this is 3 years of demanding coursework. All right? And I don't pull any punches, and make no mistake, this is a demanding program. And I'll show you an example of the placement schedule later. But you can anticipate a 35 to 40 hour contact hours per week, and often across what we call an extended academic year. So you might not just be fixed to the 12 typical weeks of semester, it might extend either before and after that. So it's really important that if you are in a position where you have to support yourself financially, think about this program and about the demands, because if you, again, some people do it, and don't ask me how they do it, but they do. We have students in the course who work part-time on the weekends and come back ready to go for the Monday, Tuesday. Tough and really important to know that where you're going to. That sort of dire information aside, I think it's fair to say that because you're such an intimate part of the program, that there is a large opportunity to get to know people, build social networks, and most importantly, have fun. So there is a really good reward at the end of this. All right, there's our timetable. I'll stress the emphasise draft timetable there. And if I don't say the word compulsory at least 3 times in this talk, I'm not doing my job. So, first time, clinical placement is compulsory. All right? It is essential because we build on the experience that you have when you're out in the clinical setting. Really important that that is a theme all through the 3 years that you are with us. And yes, it's working the life of a registered nurse. You will start a shift at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that might mean for some people you need to be up at 4, 5:30, whatever it is, to get to that shift on time. You will work a late shift and you will start at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you work through to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Now that sounds awful, but the most important part of that process is that you are gaining direct exposure to what it will be like to work as a registered nurse. It's reasonable and very fair to say that the highest attrition rate we have in our course, in our program, is at the end of first semester, first year. And why? It's because people have had 6 weeks of nursing experience at that time, and they have great opportunity to say, this is absolutely what I want to do, or conversely, no, thanks for the opportunity and I'll move on. That said, we have a very small attrition rate from second to third year, because people in the program at that point see that they're getting the skills that they need to graduate and gain employment. So that's really quite an essential thing. First year, every Thursday, Friday, you will be in placement. and placement starts in week 8 of first year. All right. Again, really important to get that across to you, and thinking about, I might be asked to go and help shower somebody after starting university for 8 weeks and working with a registered nurse to achieve that aim. Fantastic opportunities all the way through, just like that. In second and third year, excuse me. Sorry about that. Better? Sorry. Second and third year, you would move to 3 days a week, and the other 2 days of that are university. So the courses that you're getting on the the Thursday, Friday, articulate with what you're seeing in the clinical setting. Right. And again, that's really important. Demanding program. We have a set of requirements that we must meet before you're actually allowed to get to the clinical setting, and that's protect you, and most obviously is protect the people that you're going to look after. So all of these issues must be met. You will not go to placement if you don't have a complete and an evidence-based immunisation history. And if you don't have that, then we will ask you to go and get blood tests and have immunisations to the point where you are safe to go out. Really important to stress that. All students will be registered with the National Board of Australia. You don't need to do anything about that, but you will be registered by the university as a result of being in a course leading to registration. Have I said that placement was compulsory? Good, that's number 2. All right, clinical placement is compulsory, and the variation in placement is really important. You will go to acute settings, you'll go to aged care, you'll go to paediatric settings, you'll go into theatre, and you'll also go into rural placement. What we do tend to do is to keep students at the same institution for the 3 years of the course. So if you're a student allocated to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, for example, that is predominantly where you'll do your training for the 3 years. And that's important because you're then not having to learn a new system or way of doing things every time you move between a different placement experience. That's really important. Bree there in the middle in the blue shirt is one of our clinical tutors, and they are absolutely vital because they are the link people between yourselves in clinical setting and us in the university. All right? Everyone's a registered nurse, but they have particular skills and passion for teaching at the bedside. That's what they do. All right? And that student, clinical tutors will be assigned to the same group of students across the 3 years of the program. And again, what the advantage of that is that they get to see your development and you get to see them on a consistent and regular basis. So that works really, really well for us. Again, you can't hide. All right? We'll keep an eye on you all the way through. Mental health is something that we have an opportunity to send students to. So again, the diversity of practice is some of the things that we will think about across your 3 years. Care of the elderly is really important. No matter what setting you're in, hospital, community, you want to have in your head that you will be looking after people who are a bit older. And theatre. And again, this is about diversity and opportunity. So Tom's looking quite flash there in his theatre gear, and he, I'm sure, gained greatly from that placement experience. So what happens at the end of the program? Okay, so average salary for a first-year graduate nurse is around about 60 to 65,000. Having said that, that is working a 7-day rotating roster. And so that might mean you might work Christmas or New Year's Day. So again, the lifestyle of a nurse, and that's what we want to get you aware of as you come into the program. We think that's really important. Absolutely, you'll be able to specialise at the end of this program. And we believed quite strongly that this is getting you as work ready as possible that we can in 3 years. There is an IELTS of 7 required for registration before you can actually get a job. So if you're an international student and you don't have an IELTS score, that's something that you will be required to present pre-registration. Once you're into the program and you've finished and you're looking for alternative pathways, you can go on to gain qualifications, specialist qualifications in a range of areas, and we certainly encourage people to do that. There's sort of no limit or end to where you can go. Similarly, if you have a passion and you develop that passion as a result of university for clinical, that's your pathway, and you can gain, again, quite specialised qualifications. If you want to be a manager, and you know, forbid that you would want to become an academic, but you can also do that, and I'm quite happy to tell people my experiences of that at the end of this. Okay, have I said that clinical was compulsory? Good. All across the 3 years, you'll actually end up with just under 1,400 hours of clinical placement experience. All right, so it's a significant number, but again, it's what we're about. We're about experience. And what I'd like to do now is hand over to someone who will tell you the truth, and Hannah Albanese. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, I think I'm... Okay, hi everyone, I'm Hannah, so I'm a third year student here at Adelaide. Yeah, welcome, and I hope you've made the right choice in wanting to do nursing. About 5 or 6 years ago, I found myself sitting in the position that most of you guys are in right now. Everyone asks me, what do you want to do with your life? Where are you planning on going? You need to decide now. You're going into year 11 and 12, you've got to decide now. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to do. I want to be a teacher, I want to be a hairdresser, I'm going to be a lawyer, I don't know what I want to do. And it was probably about 5 years ago that my first niece was born. And I decided, while I was waiting to go in and meet her, I promise this is nursing related, that I wanted to be a midwife. And I was like, yep, that's it. I've decided I'm going to be a midwife. I'm going to bring new life into the world. It's going to be amazing. I started going to sort of open days at unis, talking to other nurses, talking to midwives, people in the industry, go to school career days and things like that. And people said to me, yeah, like midwifery is great, but it's one area. Why don't you look at being a nurse? It's a nice foundation to kind of build and specialise into a whole variety of areas, and you can become a midwife later on down the track. And I thought, hey, it's a pretty good idea. I don't mind that. And so I decided from there that that's what I was going to do. My whole career goal has totally changed. Yeah, I still want to be a midwife, but I don't want to do that for 10, maybe 15 years when I'm married and had my own kids. Right now, I want to be a nurse, I want to specialise, I actually want to be a mental health nurse, which if you'd asked me that 5 years ago, no way, never have thought I would have wanted to do that. But yeah, so that's where I'm heading at the moment. I chose to come and study my nursing here at Adelaide for a variety of reasons. The most important one for me was the amount of clinical exposure that we get here. I think, like, I'm a big believer that the old school hospital training is one of the best ways to go in. I found, obviously, that's not an option anymore, and that Adelaide provided the closest I could get to that. I think, you know, there's so much you can learn from a textbook and from, you know, your lecturers and your peers as well, but it's when you step out into that hospital and you walk onto a ward and you experience everything you've learnt firsthand, because it's not like being in the clinical labs where you get a mannequin and you kind of practice doing everything on a fake person. It's real life. Those people, what they're suffering and what they're experiencing is real. It's not a practice run, and that's really cool to experience and be a part of. Also, the amount of exposure you get through your clinical placements, like I think all up we do about 12 or 13, roughly, variety of placements. I've been sort of everywhere. I've done orthopaedics, I've been in vascular, done mental health, I've been out to the country, I've done communities like GP work, I've done aged care, I've done heaps cardiac, intensive care, so many. And that's really nice to kind of get a bit of an idea that it's not just ward nursing. You don't just step onto a ward and, you know, deal with your 4 to 6 patients for the day. There are other areas, and it's, you know, you can go out into the community and you can sometimes sit behind a desk and go out and do home visits to your patients and that kind of thing. So it's nice to know that it's not just one area, there's a whole variety, and that, you know, some people aren't a ward nurse, and that's fine, and other people are a community nurse, and it's good that there's so many options there. I also think that the other thing that really helped me was the support that you get. It's really, like, going by what Frank and Alison have said, like, you're not just a number here, you are a person, and you're a name. They do know you, you can't hide, it's true. I've tried, doesn't work. But yeah, and it's nice to have that support from these guys. You know, you're a person and you're dealing with real things out there, and you might watch somebody pass away and that's the first time you've ever experienced that. And that's hard, I'll be honest, it's a really confronting thing to watch. And it's nice to come back and or ring up your tutor on your lunch break and go, hey, can you come talk to me? I can't deal with this at the moment. And they're there like that. They respect you and they're here to support you and help you get right from that beginning spot right to the end, and where I'm heading in 3 months and hopefully into a hospital as a real nurse. So that's really good. Also the peer support that you have from your friends. I guarantee you, I'll be brutally honest, second year's a tough year, and I cried a lot. I really, really cried. I didn't think I would make it through, and if I hadn't have had sort of the academic support from my tutors and our lecturers, and even from my friends, I guarantee I wouldn't be up here talking to you guys and promoting this course as much as I am. Yeah, so the support is fantastic, and I think you really need that. It is a demanding course, and it does really test your patience. It tests your personal sort of who you are. It really tests who you are, and you need that support to kind of help you through. I also chose it for the smaller class sizes as well. That's nice to have that sort of intimacy there, and it's nice to be able to put your hand up in a lecture theatre and ask a question and have that question answered and not say, oh, email it to me later and I'll get back to you and you don't hear for 4 weeks kind of thing. It's nice to have it answered then and there. Yeah, I feel like I have a giant family surrounding me with these guys, and that's really nice to have. Another benefit is the experience you gain, which makes it possible to work while you're studying. I know Frank said it is difficult. A lot of us do have jobs though, we do need to survive. I myself work as an assistant in nursing at Women's and Children's. I've got friends that work at carers in nursing homes. I've got friends that work out in the community doing home visits and helping people sort of manage their daily living in their home. So it is possible, and it's nice to have this sort of course that supports you with the knowledge to be able to go and gain those jobs instead of just working in a retail sort of position. When Frank said that it's a 35 to 40 hour contact week, he's not lying, it's true. It's really hard and it's really testing on you, but I think it's really important to have because it gets you ready for when you do go out there, because it is like that out there, except, yeah, it is challenging. And I think having the mixture between your placement and your uni, it's nice to go to uni on a Wednesday or whenever you have, depending on what year you're in, and you go and you do your classes on the Wednesday, and on the Thursday morning you walk in for an early shift, and the skills you've learned on the Wednesday afternoon in your clinical skills lab, you can put straight into practice and you can start practicing them straight away. You don't learn them and then forget about them for 5 weeks and go, oh my gosh, how do I do a blood sugar? I don't know what I'm doing. You can do it straight away, which is really nice. I could tell you a million stories about the things I've seen and I've experienced, and I'd be up here for probably hours and weeks and years telling you. But it is really a fantastic career. You're with people when they're at their absolute acutely worst place they could be. They are so low. They are probably the lowest they could be. And it's really nice to be there and be a part of them and watch them go from being at that bottom, right at the depths, and watch them grow and get better and come right up back to sort of functioning and being well and back to normal. You're there when they're the most vulnerable and when they're their most precious. You're with people that are fighting for their lives. And I think Frank said to us once in, I think it was first year, people think, oh, being with a dying person, that's really sad. It's a really beautiful experience to be with somebody who's fighting for their life and you're with them fighting 100% of the way with them. I think, yeah, it's really cool when, I always think that, everybody wants to go out and change the world. I'm gonna make a big impact, and I'll be honest, I can't go out and change the world, but I know when I step foot into that ward, I can change someone's world, and I've made a huge difference. And sometimes you don't even know that. I've had experiences where, we've had patients that have come from interstate, they've had no family here, and the nursing staff and us students have been their family, and they've been really low and they've been through all the hardships, and they turn around to you on the last day you leave, and they go, I could not have done this without you. I'll never forget you. And that's really cool to know that, I might forget them in 20 years' time. I'm not going to remember every patient I know, but in 20 years' time, she'll remember me. That's really cool, I think. So in saying that, just a few pieces of advice for those of you that are looking at doing nursing. It is tough, but I think if you are passionate and you're determined and you're driven, you'll be a perfect nurse. At times you'll feel like you're so low and that you can't sort of go around and think, this is the worst thing, I don't want to do this. And then, you'll realise that, going back to making that change in someone's life is just the best feeling in the world. I can guarantee you that you won't know everything, and as a student that's really hard when you go into a specialised area and you've got nurses that are like 15 years, 20 years in that area and they know everything. They know more than what some of the doctors know, and they'll challenge them, and it's really cool to watch. But you look and you go, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm the worst student in the world. I don't know anything. And then you think, hey, I haven't even finished my degree yet. These nurses have been here for 20 years. They know the ropes like that. And it's nice to know that I might actually know something that they don't know. So even though you don't know everything, you still know something. And yeah, sort of going on that, one of our lecturers and coordinators here, Jan, said to me one year that, you know, even on the day you retire, you won't know everything there is to know about nursing. It's one of those industries, the whole healthcare industry is one of those places where it's changing all the time. There's new surgeries coming up and there's, you know, we might do something this way and in 5 years' time that's totally going to change because someone's found a more suitable and approachable and better for our patients or better way of doing things. And you have to be able to adapt, I think, as well, and sort of be willing to learn new things and be willing to go, okay, I do it this way, but be aware that maybe in 5-10 years' time things are going to change and new people are coming through and you've got so much to learn from everybody. Yeah, always be excited to continue learning as well. I always thought that I'd do my Bachelor of Nursing. I was a bit naive when I started, and I thought I'd do my Bachelor of Nursing, and that's it. Go get a job, that's all I have to do. Now I realise I have so many more options. I'm excited to come back in a year or two and do my grad dip in mental health and continue to work my way up the career path that way. So hopefully I've convinced you to be nurses. If I haven't, I hope that I can do it in these final sentences. Remember when I said 5 years ago that I wanted to be a midwife? Well, yes, it is still a goal for me, but right now I'm really excited to take this nursing career and take it for all that it's worth. I've currently just done my applications for my transitional practice program next year. I'm terrified. I'm really scared about going out and being an RN. But yeah, it's an exciting career and I really hope that you guys can sort of take what I've got, my knowledge, and go from there. So I'll finish up on that. If you've got any questions or anything, head down to the bar, Smith, and we'll see you down there.
And can I just thank Hannah